So one way of unplugging from the simulation is to just leave, is to just return home to consciousness. And somebody might say, well, that's being selfish. All these other beings that you know and don't know, they're all still trapped in the simulation. Don't you want to help them? Don't you want to be the equivalent of a bodhisattva, right? In Buddhist tradition, don't you want to help everyone awaken first before you awaken? The trick being, though, is but every being who does actually return home, every divine spark that returns home is one less power source for the matrix. It may seem like not much. Only 100 left this year, but that's 100 less power sources that are running this matrix. And I'm curious. We're right now. We're in the Great Reset. This is not sort of some sort of accidental language. This is very, very clear what they're telling us. They're resetting this entire reality. They're going to re-push the start button on the simulation. And I think that's happening because they're not getting enough power. The power supply, they need a new, bigger power supply, and they're not getting enough for whatever reason. Maybe enough people over the last 100 years or something have left. And they're what we're seeing, if you think of the reset, and again, like energy terms, it's all energy. Part of from their perspective is they need to up the energy power they're getting from the system. And when you start to realize that's what it's about an energy change that the system is going to take from us within it. You understand what's really good. It has nothing to do with commerce, it has nothing to do with money, it has nothing to do even with the entire control structure. It's about energy. And so if we stop giving the energy to the system's in big trouble. That I think is the greatest power, is to again turn the energy to all of us and to our, you know, what we call communities, our closest friends. Because one thing we've learned in the last 3 years, you've learned who your friends are. You've truly
Hmm.
learned who your friends are. A lot of people have become very alone in the course of, their family. Your family doesn't talk to you anymore. Your friends don't talk to you anymore. They think you're nuts, and you're out now. But you will have gained a few new friends, hopefully, in the course, or if you haven't, you will soon, who think like you do, who feel the world the way you do. And so all of a sudden, you're building a true family now. You're building your true family that is at your deepest thought soul level, not just friends that exist because you played on the same sports team and you went to the same school, so you're supposed to be friends. What this has done is shown that all of that is just covering. That's just like clothing. And you're now, yeah, we might have I myself have lost hundreds of friends over the last few years from the work I've been doing. But the
Yep.
ones I have left, we think the same. And so now it's like you want to share your energy with them. And so getting back, we stop sharing with the system, we share with our true friends and our true family. We're building a power for ourselves, not for it. And what it does is fine. It can do whatever it wants to do. We can choose what to do with our power and how we want to use it and how we want to create, at least you can say, the experiences we want to have.
Well,
When you begin to understand that the matrix is duality, and the matrix doesn't exist. You can't have up without down. You can't have left without right. You can't have ugly without beauty. You can't have everything needs its opposite. And here's the weird thing. The system controls both sides always. It doesn't matter. It's controlling up, it's controlling down. It's controlling the light side and the dark side. So we see dark forces as controlling only darkness in the realm. Bizarrely, they control the light as well, because only with the controlling of the light do you also have the dark. It's very weird. Light is light in this realm. Light is dark is disguised as light as much as it's presented as dark. um, the Gnostics talk about what you call true good. They say you can't have actual good here because good is always instantaneously tainted by bad as soon as it turns into the material realm. But true good, you might say, would exist, or true light does exist, but it's not here. It's not in the material world because it needs its opposite. True light has no opposite. True good has no opposite, right? What we think of as good has to have an opposite, evil. And so when we begin to see that everything in this realm is this giant interplay of energy, and it doesn't matter which one you fall onto, your energy is focused on a particular. I know this is very complex for people to understand, but it's bizarre. Like um, the total. It's partially if you think of this in terms of magnets. The power is actually in the middle of those two magnets. So if you put two magnets together, between the two magnets is a point of where you could put a piece of metal and it would be suspended there indefinitely. The power of those magnets creates that power in the middle. As long as we are slightly off center, that power is not there. So as long, it doesn't matter which side we've moved to, even if it's just one step to whatever, we're in the matrix. Literally, you have to be in this. It's partially this idea of being in this middle way of literally having no foot on either side of it. It's hard to explain, but when you're in the midpoint, not only do you have all the power, the matrix has no control over you. So it's this bizarre thing to have to navigate this realization that as that's the story of eating from the tree of good and evil.
Yeah.
It has nothing to do. It has what it's doing is it's you can say Adam and Eve in the story are not actually in the material world yet. That story is not describing the matrix yet. They're still outside of the matrix. And there's this one tree that says, hey, come in here and you can start having experiences more than you could ever have in this world. I'm going to give you multitude of experiences. I'm going to give you a brand new what's that called? The metaverse, a brand new metaverse for you to experience. Just come into the duality. And that's the symbol of it, the symbolism of they've entered duality, they've entered the simulation. And as soon as you've entered the simulation, it means everything is, in a sense, a part of the simulation, except in this case, Adam and Eve's consciousness, which is the only thing that actually physically they didn't enter. Consciousness, awareness entered. So awareness is now in the simulation and experiencing everything in dual terms, including their own awareness, including our own awareness. We're experiencing our own awareness in terms of duality. So it's bizarrely, it's one of the things, once you can, if you can find a way to literally be in a 0 point with no duality, that's your first step of being out of it. But there's also this weird place called the void, which is also in duality, which makes you feel like you're out of duality. And this is where a lot of the spiritual traditions around the world and the so-called gurus have tricked themselves. They've hit this point called the void. They think they're in this absolute reality, but they're not. They're still in a very fine piece of the matrix. And now they present from that place. And even though they maybe don't feel like they're being dishonest, they truly believe what they're saying, it's still not truth. They're still false wrapped into what they're saying. So it's so much of a tricky navigation for all of us to go through, um, understanding being a non-dual awareness trapped in a dual reality.